One person on our way to the ritual we almost ran into was the Professor Taggart. For a moment, I was actually quite nervous that she was going to catch on what was going on, and we were going to get in some serious trouble. Luckily, she had her own reasons to be in the woods, which will remain unmentioned. And she let us go. So once we were at the way lines, once we were at the amphitheater, the ritual began. We began carving the circles. We began dropping the incense. We began the enchanting. We began the vampire dust, the ghost heliprod pearls, the crystallized vampire and werewolf blood. It was a pretty intense ceremony. We all binded our powers together with one of Jack Slager's original... I don't know if this is no, it wasn't an original. But we started binding the magic together with a Sladron, one of the old wands of power for dark magic and dark secrets. Why I'm telling you this now, you'll understand in a little bit. So after this intense, insane ritual, the noise and the singing of a choir, and horrible visions running through my head as we connected to that underground prison cell which they are holding my grandfather in, everything cut to silence. And he arrived. Jack Slager materialized very lacklusterly, walking out from behind one of the pillars. One of the same pillars I've hidden behind the night before when the werewolves attacked. And he asked why we summoned him. Why were we here? To those questions, Dominic answered, to seek power. That is the answer, right? Power for power's sake. No, he told us that wasn't the answer. That was a boring answer that he'd heard before. Jackson Slager took a different approach, trying to reach out to his human side to see that there is good in him. Therefore, since there's good in him, there must be good in Jackson himself. Slager looked at him like he was insane. No, he's not a good man. He had millions of people killed. He had all sorts of horrible things done in his name. And after an hour of questions and an hour of not getting the power I was looking for, not getting the way to save Virginia Isle, not getting anything out of him except learning that I had chosen the wrong role model, my friends exploded at me, saying, I'm wasting the potential of these two beautiful girls I have in front of her with this silly old man locked in a prison cell. It exploded straight in my face. In fact, I think it caught everybody off guard a little bit, even Jackson Slager to a certain extent. But I was broken. I had no more energy left after the ceremonies, the rituals, the incantations for all three magical moments that night. I dropped the Sladrod and I stumbled back into the forest that I was in the night before. This time not under the effects of some Sumerian spirit, but of my own broken will. Apparently while I was gone, some poltergeist showed up and started questioning everybody else at the event, but I was gone. Eventually I was summoned back by Slager, and I stood in front of him and talked for a little while. We found out his plan to come back to Magiscala with a new army he's been building. He could leave at any time. He has routes to escape from that prison at any time, or at least he claims to. Jackson pleaded for 3 more years to prepare, and Jack gave him that. It was at this time we heard the marshals closing in on us. The police and authorities somehow gained knowledge of our events, or was able to notice the the immense spike in magical power in the area, so we had to evacuate and leave. We grabbed up all of our rituals, we concealed all of the residue, and we vanished into the night. Because at this point, I ran across Paxton, one of my other buyers in the black market, one of the people who actually bought the letter. And he'd been looking for us. He'd been ready to fight to protect the Isle. And then when he heard what I was doing, he was so mortified and so afraid that something was going to happen to me or that I was going to go off the deep end. In fact, a lot of people, after all the things with the Sumerian ghost, thought I had already gotten quite insane, especially with the mind wipes that I had been getting from certain people to hide certain origins of letters and items that I had in my possession. People thought that I was going quite insane. So we walked and talked for hours, laughing, joking. Everything was okay, it turned out. The Isle had been saved. And all the rods that I put all that power and life force into, turns out I really didn't. The terrorist force was a very small a little small group compared to the entirety of House Croatan raining down upon them. The battle was over before it even began. I am so proud of Turtle House. I wish I could have been there to see it. But I decided my night wasn't over just yet. And early in the early hours of the morning, like